in the beginning of an event, as an event is starting or during an event, you should not be trying to engage in a conversation with a coach. It sounds obvious and it applies to a lot of different aspects of life, but same goes for the college recruiting process at a lot of these recruiting events. If you have to ask yourself, or if you have to ask that coach, hey, it's now a bad time, it is certainly a bad time. We found that the best time typically to approach a coach for a few minutes is shortly after the conclusion of that event. Okay, whatever the recruiting event looks like, typically after, the athletes are going to have a period where they're maybe going to the locker room, where they're doing some warm downs. There's usually a short period where that coach has a little bit of downtime. Okay, and we still don't want to be super chatty as a parent. We don't want to come to that coach with the whole lecture, but that may be the proper time to engage with the coach for a few minutes, acknowledge that, hey, my kid loves your program. Let that coach know who you are. We'll talk about that a little bit more in detail. But the main aspect as a parent, when we attend these recruiting events, we have to be patient. And we have to always acknowledge that, hey, if I'm thinking this is a bad time, or if it can possibly be a bad time, just hold off.
There are times and circumstances where the conversation's okay, right? If you have a relationship with that college coach prior to the event, if you've been emailing with that coach, or maybe you've had some text or some phone conversations with your student athlete and that coach, in that situation, it makes more sense to go up to that coach and just, introduce yourself, or continue building a relationship, whatever the case is, if you ask for some feedback on what they saw about your kid. But again, if you haven't established a relationship with a coach, when coaches are at these events, when they're out watching student athletes, these tournaments, they're typically there to evaluate student athletes they've already identified and already have seen on video, and maybe have already built a relationship with. So that's their priority at those events. It's not necessarily discovering kids and getting to meet new kids. It really comes down to what that coach is trying to accomplish. So if you have the ability to connect with the coach, after the event or whatever the case is, or if you have a relationship, that's fine. Go up to that coach, introduce yourselves, or maybe reintroduce yourself if you guys have already met. And again, if a coach is interested, they're going to keep that conversation going, right? You'll be able to tell if that coach is interested, they're going to keep that convo going. But if you feel like you're trying to force feed some information, or force feed some knowledge about your student athlete, again, that may not be the right time, or that coach just may not be interested. So as a parent, it's really important to, number one, to know the rules, right? Know what are the rules. Can you approach a college coach? Can a coach talk to you at the event? Because you can go up to a college coach maybe and try to have a conversation with them, and they may have to ignore you because they're not in a position where they can talk to you. So again, that's a big part of what NCSA does, is providing that education, that guidance. So if you're not sure as to what the recruiting timeline is, or what a parent should do, or can they talk to a coach, can you not talk to a college coach, go to our website, ncsasports.org. There's a lot of really good information on there in terms of that. But again, coaches have to follow the NCAA contact rules. So depending on the coach's sport or their division level, there are plenty of times throughout the year called evaluation periods, when D1 and D2 coaches can watch athletes compete live, but they aren't actually allowed to talk to them or parents in person. So again, knowing the timeline, knowing these rules, because again, if a student athlete or you as a parent go up to a college coach, try to have a conversation with them, and that coach can't talk to you under NCAA rules, it's going to be an awkward situation. You may think, oh, did I do something wrong, or did I put my kid in a bad light? So again, knowing that timeline, knowing those rules, again, for the majority of underclassmen, the direct contact is not eligible. For example, June 15th for most sports is going to be the important date. Hey, everyone, thanks for watching. Click the logo to subscribe to our channel, and check out all the other videos on our page for all things recruiting.